Thanks everyone for being so patient tonight, and also for making it here. We really appreciate seeing so many of you coming here today to learn a little bit more about the Flinders Community Battery Project. So to start off with, I'll just introduce myself. My name's Mari. I'm the Communications and Engagement Officer at Yarra Energy Foundation. I have here with me Lachlan Hensey as well from Yarra Energy Foundation, and also Steph from Council, I'm sure many of you know. And we've got Mark Aarons, John, I've forgotten your surname, I'm so sorry, Pierce, and Ralph in the corner as well from Flinders Zero Carbon Community, sorry. But I'll just get cracking with a acknowledgement of country. So I'd like to acknowledge the Boonwurrung people, the traditional custodians of the lands and waters that we join from today, and pay my respects to their elders past and present. Okay, so this is what we're going to be covering off on today. We're just going to do, obviously, this little welcome and hello, thank you all for coming. A little introduction to community batteries and sort of what they are and what context they're coming from. We'll step into the project history, where this is all sort of started off from. Then talk about the Flinders Community Battery Project, also some key council considerations for this project, and the community engagement sort of process and delivery going forward, and then we'll jump into a Q&A, and I'm sure you're all busting with lots of great questions. So let's get started. So as I mentioned, some of the key project team are here today. We've got Mornington Peninsula Shire Council, so they're the project owner. They were funded by the federal government to deliver this as part of the Community Batteries for Household Solar program. Yarra Energy Foundation, we're delivering community engagement in partnership with Mornington Peninsula Shire Council. We've also got Acacia Energy, they're the project manager, and Stephen's here today, who's been working very closely with us on this. And then we've got Flinders Zero Carbon Community, and they really led the charge on establishing this project. They were the ones with a really strong idea around community batteries and the potential benefits that they might offer. Okay, so what's kind of the context for this project? So why are we talking about community batteries in the first place? So internationally, we've got some big commitments to try to keep global temperature rise below 2 degrees Celsius. And because of that, there's lots of big initiatives that we're trying to do in renewable energy. We want to see renewable energy grow dramatically so we can reduce our emissions. In Australia, we've committed to achieve net zero by 2050, and we have a federal target to achieve 82% renewables by 2030. So this has some implications for our energy system. So traditionally, we had a really simple energy system, and it was kind of a one-way flow where we had big power stations, mostly coal, going straight from, these big power lines down into, households, and it's essentially just this one-way traffic. And now that we want to get lots of renewables into the grid, we're starting to do something that's a bit more complicated. So I'm sure many of you here today will have household solar. You'll have it on your roofs, and those solar panels are putting electricity back into the grid when it used to be this one-way flow. So one of the things that we're trying to do to kind of stabilise this and meet the system security that we need for a grid that works and operates safely is to put in some more storage to kind of harness some of that additional power. I'm really simplifying this and we'll go into more detail later on. So some challenges that we're seeing at the moment from having this sort of two-way flow are things like the duck curve. So essentially we're producing a whole bunch of solar in our households at a time where nobody's consuming it. So in the middle of the day when it's sunniest, no one's at home, you're not using that, and it's just going straight back into the grid. And some of it is starting to be curtailed as well, so basically just not getting used or not used efficiently. And then we're also seeing when we have these sort of peaks of lots of people needing electricity all at once, demand increases, and there's no solar. So batteries can be a bit of a solution for that, to sort of put it back in where it needs to be. And also there's this kind of more large scale, I guess, issue or challenge that we're facing, that across the grid we have lots of variable sun and wind, and storage can address that as well to provide a more kind of smooth production, distribution of electricity throughout the day. So how can battery storage support the clean energy transition? So replacing the old providing some of the functions that we used to see big coal generators doing, and essentially enabling the grid to stay stable. Also addressing new challenges like this distributed generation that we all have now, and enabling sort of more renewable energy into the grid, which is supporting decarbonisation. So, what are community batteries doing in this whole big picture? So for us, community batteries are battery storage systems that are larger than household batteries. They typically range from 50 kilowatts to 10 megawatts, and they're often connected to the low voltage distribution network, which is the poles and wires that are servicing your home. This is why they're often located in residential areas. And they offer potential for lots of different benefits. So here's a bunch of different types of batteries more broadly. So some of these I would say, a bit more large scale. If you look at that Pisces Mondo in the bottom, we're definitely not looking at anything like that. But really the system that we're sort of talking about is very similar in shape and size to the Fitzroy North battery up the top there in the middle, which has an artwork that I understand that some people love, and maybe a few people in this room aren't such a big fan, but that's okay. We also have the Tani Power Core battery, which is also a very similar sort of size and proportion to the system that has been proposed in Flinders. Okay. All right. I think that's me wrapping up my section. I'm now going to hand it over to John, who's going to talk a little bit about the history of this project and sort of where it came from.